Have you ever walked out of a user interview just feeling flat? You spent an hour talking, you got answers, but you walked away with absolutely nothing useful. Well, we are going to fix that right here, right now. In this explainer, we're going to crack the code on writing UX interview questions that really, truly extract deep insights.
You know that feeling, right? That sinking feeling where you've just spent all this time with a user and all you have to show for it are some polite, kind of vague answers and really no clear direction. It's a super common frustration. But what if I told you the problem isn't the interview itself?
And that's the big secret. The problem isn't your rapport-building skills, and it's not your ability to listen. Nope. Most of the time, the interview fails before you even say hello. It fails when you're writing your questions.
I mean, look at this. This is really the heart of it all. Bad questions get you polite nods. They get you surface-level stuff. But good questions? Good questions unlock stories. They reveal the hidden pain points, the clever workarounds, and the real, messy logic behind how a user actually makes decisions. And folks, that is where the gold is buried.
So, how do we get there? We're going to build this skill from the ground up. First, we'll talk about the big mindset shift. Then, we'll get into 5 simple rules for writing killer questions. After that, I'll show you a simple toolkit for structuring your interviews. And finally, we'll put it all together and see it in action with some real-world examples.
Okay, let's start with the single most important idea in all of this. Seriously, if you only remember one thing today, make it this. You have to stop asking people what they think and start uncovering what they have actually done.
And why is this so critical? Well, because opinions are flaky. They're unreliable. We are all terrible at predicting what we'll do in the future. But our past behavior, that's real. That's a collection of facts, of specific stories that you can actually build on. You see, great UX is built on the solid ground of behavior, not on the shifting sands of opinion.
All right, so with that mindset locked in, let's get super practical. We're about to walk through 5 simple but incredibly powerful rules that will immediately level up every single question you write from here on out. Rule number 1 is our bedrock. Think about it. People are fantastic storytellers about things that have already happened, but they are awful fortune tellers about their future selves. Asking about the future just invites guesswork and fantasy, not real data. So you always ask about the past.
Just look at the difference here. What would you do? That's a total hypothetical. It's a guess. But asking, tell me about the last time, that grounds them in a real memory. One gives you a fantasy, the other gives you a story, packed with context, emotion, and all the juicy details.
Okay, next up, Rule 2. You've got to avoid questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no. Why? Because they are absolute conversation killers. They slam the door on any detail and force you to immediately scramble for another question just to keep the ball rolling. I mean, just think about the quality of the data you get back. Do you use this feature often? Gets you a yes. Okay, now what? But asking how often and in what situations, well, that invites a whole narrative. You don't just learn if they use it, you learn the context, the how and the why. Now, this one is so important for avoiding bias. The second you put your amazing idea or your solution into the question, you've stopped doing research. You're now just seeking validation. You're leading the witness, and any data you get back is basically useless.
So instead of asking something like, would a faster checkout help you? I mean, of course they're going to say yes. Ask them to just walk you through their last experience. This is so crucial. If their checkout process was slow and painful, that problem will come out naturally, in their own words, without you ever having to plant the idea. Rule 4 is all about keeping it clean and simple. You know, sometimes we get really excited and we try to cram like 3 questions into one. This is a huge mistake. It just confuses the user and it makes your data impossible to analyze properly. They might answer part 1, but totally ignore parts 2 and 3.
Think about that bad question on the left. Is it easy and fast and clear? Yikes. What if it's fast but not clear? You've just created a tangled mess. But that good question, it's like a scalpel. It targets one single thing, in this case, time, and it gives you a clean, unambiguous answer you can actually work with.
And finally, our 5th rule, just speak like a normal human being. Your interview is not the time or place to show off all your fancy industry jargon. Your one and only goal is to make the user feel totally comfortable so they can focus all their energy on telling their story, not trying to figure out what you mean.
So yeah, drop the jargon. Forget words like user flows or information architecture. When you ask about their day, their process, or their experience, You're meeting them on their turf. You're speaking their language, and that makes them feel heard and encourages them to open up.
All right, so we've got our rules for writing great individual questions, but how do we string them together into a full interview? Because having awesome questions is one thing, but knowing how to sequence them is what turns an interview into a natural, flowing conversation. Let's look at a simple structure. The best way to think about this is like an arc with 4 parts. You start broad with opening questions. Their job is just to get the person comfortable. Then you dive into the nitty-gritty with behavior questions to get the actual story. Now, when you hear something interesting, a pause, a frustrated sigh, that's when you use a probe question to dig deeper right there. And then finally, at the end, you zoom out with reflection questions to understand the big picture.
Okay, theory time is over. Let's make all of this really concrete. We're going to look at 2 super common scenarios and see exactly how applying these rules can transform a totally weak set of questions into a powerhouse that gets incredible results.
Okay, first up, a food delivery app. The bad questions, do you like it? Is it easy to use? They're just going to get you polite, useless answers. But look at the good set. Tell me about the last time immediately kicks off a story. And that second one, what almost stopped you from ordering? Oh, that question is magic. It is designed to uncover the real friction points that users almost never bring up on their own.
Now for a trickier one, a fintech app. You can't just ask about something as abstract as trust. It doesn't work. Trust is an outcome of a great experience. You can't just ask for it. So instead, you ask about a specific high-stakes behavior, like transferring money. And then asking what they were worried about reveals all the specific anxieties your design needs to solve for. That's how you actually build trust. So if you forget every single thing we just talked about, please remember this simple test. As you're writing your interview questions, look at each one and just ask yourself, can this be answered with a yes or a no? If the answer is yes, that's your signal. That's your alarm bell to rewrite it into something more open-ended and way more powerful.
Because ultimately, that's what this is all about. You're not just a data collector, you're a story collector. You're uncovering human experiences. So stop asking questions that just get you opinions and start asking the kind of questions that unlock amazing stories, because that is where the real game-changing insights are hiding.